Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Alina Trigup. I'm the host of the Power of Passive Investing Meetup. We also have Chike Agu here, who is the host of Investor Meetup. We welcome everybody, and we are looking forward to hear our presenter for tonight, which is Margo Masri. She's going to talk about how to automate your business, and she's going to mention some of the expertise that herself and her team has, and we'll share a few tips that will hopefully help you guys down the road. Chike, did you want to say a couple words before we kick off?
Yeah, just definitely similar vein as what Alina said. Thank you guys for coming out, checking out this topic. Definitely it is critical to enhancing the level of investment business you have, as opposed to transforming from just an individual investor to scaling a business. I believe that you guys will get a lot of value tonight, and definitely, check it out, and you can see us in future events.
Awesome. Thank you, Chike. So Margot, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. Thank you for coming on. Just give me one quick second. I'm Margo Masri. I'm going to talk about with you today how to automate your numbers and delegate your way to success. A little bit about me. I was inspired to help business owners struggling to navigate the complex maze of the modern accounting system. I've noticed that people all the time, they avoid it. They think about the tax day of April 15th, March 15th, and all the various tax deadlines as standalones, and that one day of year that they fear. And I've always had a love for real estate and helping people save money and put more money into their pocket. So this is where my business has evolved. And today my business has grown top 18 for New York the past 3 years. I aim to get a lot further through a visionary accounting, through numbers, and generally I accelerate business through that type of way and accelerate growth and profitability. I'm from Brooklyn, and currently I live in Long Island with my 2 kids. I love to read and I love to explore, as you guys heard before. I shared with Alina how I love to go on hikes and all these, different things. So I'm going to just jump right in. If you guys have questions along the way, feel free to put it into the chat. And I want you guys to really get involved and just feel the energy of it so that I can help you. And I hope you enjoy the what I prepared for today. So the first question is, and then as I ask you the questions again, feel free to put it into the chat so that I can see the answers. How many of you, and a lot of you are not on video, so I can't see you, but put in there how many of you are entrepreneurs, and just put yes into the chat. And if you consider yourself like a small business owner, but let's put that in there, that we're a entrepreneur. Now, how many of us, and some of these questions, some of us don't think about. So how many of us have a bank account for personal expenses and we're mixing it for business? Now, lots of times people have separate, but sometimes they use the business for personal, they use the personal for business, they forget. And some people just think the whole system's to pot. So keep putting it into that chat. I love it. And are you using that personal bank account for when you've bought a building, or when you've needed to pay contractor expenses? How many of you do not have a great system to manage your paperwork? You take the mail and you just put it into that drawer at the bottom, or you're like, I'm gonna give it to my accountant 364 days because the day is coming up. Or we do that thing, it's called Excel. So, now, how many of us don't utilize accounting software at all? And each month, you're really just winging it. And when I say winging it, you're just figuring it out in your head. You're kind of like, I bought the supplies at $20. I think I could sell it at 30. My guy, I pay him at $100 a day. Let me charge him $150. Now, here's some more questions. How many of you are paying the bills? You're acting as the bookkeeper. You're acting as the bill payer, the bookkeeper, and you're wearing all these multiple hats. Yep, keep putting it into the chat. And also when you see onto this screen, feel free to write down, are you wearing all these hats? And you're kind of like, I'm the bookkeeper at 12 o'clock at night when my day is done, when I think I have nothing to do and I can't sleep. There's good news and bad news for this. And I'm going to say, let's start with the bad news. You all mostly failed the test, and we are here today so I can share with you different values of different tips so that you don't have to flunk this test again. So if you are ready, put into the chat, I'm ready, Margo. Good, keep going. Now, the first tip is separation of powers. You cannot commingle funds. It is not good to have everything in one pot with zero order. Imagine paying for your kids' groceries on your business credit card. Your accountant is not going to be able to save you money. So when you're going to try to have an accurate P&L and you have your kids' bikes, you have your kids' grocery bills on your business statements, you're not going to be able to have accurate statements. And on top of it, your classification is going to be incredibly off. And these are two very common things that happen when you don't have that separation of powers. Mixing funds, it makes it impossible for the P&L to be provided even, because you look at that and then you're looking at it and then you say, minus this, plus that, with this, and you take care of all these little puzzles that it doesn't add up. And then what's going to happen if you need a loan? What's going to happen if you need to take out a credit card? Now, what happens is also when you're buying a building, when you're when you're buying machinery, if you have to buy a car, any of these sorts of things, for the financial growth, you need your credit. And one of the big things that you need for your credit is a P&L statement. And right now during COVID, I cannot tell you how many people suffered with not having a P&L statement because they were using Excel or they were just not doing anything at all. So their financial growth was really just at a standpoint. They were operating on cash. They were assuming that they knew how much money that they were going to make, that they were making, and they were really just winging it. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is systems. Systems is something like a way that you can keep in contact with your people so that you can keep business going. You have a calendar booking, you have like some type of CRM software. And the reason why you do this is to keep in touch with your customers so that you can keep business going. An example of some of the accounting software would be QuickBooks or Xero. Now, QuickBooks, you have the desktop version, you have the online versions, all of these different things depending on your business and your business model. I heard some of you talk about before we started today about the various models, of what you do. So depending on that is which of the systems that we would choose. And customer relations, it's pretty important because it helps business continue, that even if a client didn't want to invest with you today, or if he didn't want to flip a deal with you today, we don't throw away on people, we love on people, and we want to continue with them. And now we're going to get into what an accounting software does for you. Now, Many people think Excel, they're like, hey, Margo, why do I need this? You know, Excel, it does the minus, it does the plus, you know, it could do the multiplication and it can do all this amortization things. But the accounting software just does all the work for you. You're going to have the ability to have complete accuracy that you know your cost. So if you bought a building, if you fixed an apartment, and you did all these sorts of repairs, you're going to be able down to the dollar to see how much you spent, so that if something happens again, you can really just take that project cost analysis and duplicate it again, so that you don't have to recreate the wheel. Now, another amazing bonus to the software is that you know what's going out. Lots of times, again, people are thinking about this in their head and they're trying to gauge what is going on. In the software, you have it all right there where it's all put out for you, and it's really, you're really able to see it and make good business decisions. And you know your business can stay in business. And I'll tell you a quick story now. During COVID, people just had no idea what they were going to do. And I remember one of these investors came to me, and he hasn't done anything in 3 years. Imagine that. And he had 15 buildings. Now you can imagine 15 buildings, and he hasn't done any accounting in 3 years. He mixed business, he mixed personal, and people stopped paying rent. And, you know, the first month it wasn't so bad because people were still in the midst of things. And then he needed the idle loan, and it became more involved. And he had no idea what was going on in his business because he was gauging it in his head. He was one of those business owners who at the year end was filing everything, and he just thought life was good. But the big question is the money well spent in the right area? So that you know during COVID, let's say in an emergency, that your business is bulletproof. So if you want to make more money and you want to see your business grow, and you want to focus on income generating activities, you want to do tasks that are at your market rate. You want to delegate. Now, delegate is a way that you're going to keep yourself in line with things that is in your wheelhouse. So, for instance, in my business, I only keep myself busy with things that are CFO and accounting level. If there's more administrative stuff, I have an assistant because I'm not making the most of my time, so that if I don't make the most of my time, I'm not making the most money that I can. Now, when you think like that and you hand it over to experts, you're really able to see the most that you can do. Now, you guys are probably like, I have a lot of dead time because I see properties, I have workers. Now, all these sorts of decisions are able to be made if you have financial statements. And without the financial statements, it's very hard to see that. Now, in general, just to combine things a little bit here, is systems and delegations change how you do business, because not only does it reduce what you need to do, it creates a system. So it's not always like a story behind your head of like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? That should have happened. And you're playing all these different cards in your head. And when you want to do things, sometimes even I find people that are in the real estate business that they are doing multiple things. Sometimes they still have a full-time job on doing this, and there's all sorts of, there are all sorts of setups. So you're going to be able to have systems and be able to streamline and scale when you do these things. You do free up time and you have less stress. Because when you spend your time, when you have that story in the back of your head, that just what creates the stress. I know me, and I'm going to ask you guys is, how many of us want to reduce stress? I mean, especially after COVID, right? Put for me in the chat, if you guys, who wants to reduce their stress? Okay, there we go. Love that. Now, let's do an exercise and say, Margo, you're talking a lot tonight. I think it sounds great. I don't know if I could handle it. I like doing it all myself. So let's do a little bit of a test and a brain dump. and like do a little bit of a delegation test. Check mark the activities on a list that are income generating. And at the end of this, you're going to want to eliminate the time draining tasks. So take a few minutes now and look at your day and see what you spend your time on, and do. Sometimes when you do this mind dump exercise, you may just, just list it and take the few minutes and see which ones are non-income generating. And the ones that are non-income generating, that is your key to success. So I'm going to wait a few minutes, and I'm actually going to look into the chat a second, because I want you guys, so we can have a little bit of interactiveness, I want you guys to be able to, be part of this. But take your time now and see, how are you spending your day? Like, I know for me, my best time of day is from like 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. And after that, I start to get, where it's not my peak time. I know when I generally do go later, but I know that that's my peak time when I get a lot of stuff done. So, when you look at this delegation, you can have a bookkeeper, you can have a VA, you can have a content writer. I know for me, a big savior in my business was having somebody that I can share what I wanted to give to the world and have a writer. Now, what sums this so far at this point is automation ensures that the business is not running you. And lots of times when we're trying to grow the business and make money, we're not sure if we're going here, we're going there, we're going north, we're going south, we're going all over the place. Now, when you run on automation, it gives you a way to know that automation does not run you. So those were your 3 steps to help you delegate your way to success. Oh gosh, there was a mistake in these slides. Sorry about that. If you are not commingling your finances, you will make more money, and you are going to delegate non-essential tasks, and you are going to want to choose a software. These 3 strategies will help you get there and stay in your genius zone. I created some bonus information for today as well, and I wanted to talk about some tax strategies to think about right now, because this time of year when everybody, I'm going to call it, is getting out of like this hibernation, there's a lot of new things to think about, because there were people out there that had savings. There's some people that didn't. There were people that were able to survive if they got laid off, and they had all these, different things. The first thing to think about is you're going to want to max out health savings. You're going to want to see that you can max out a health savings account so that you can save money there. Now, a 401k as well, and there's all sorts of different 401ks that we can do that you can share, you can save there. Now, a quick tip to save for these, you'd be surprised if you did 1 less lunch a week, if you did 1 less coffee, if you realize how much you spend on coffee. You'd be surprised how these little things add up. I always talk about my Marshall shopping. Like, I used to be a very big pocketbook shopper. I still love pocketbooks, but I've took a moderate way to go shopping now, because I found bigger ways to be able to spend the money. And I would give myself a budget of, at a point it was $50 a week or $100 a week. It depends on things. And I cut out all those other expensive pocketbooks, and I was able to do these things. So if you look at in your life some fun habits that you want to keep, but yet you're like, my 401k is not where it's supposed to be, these are some things that you can start to think about so that you can be that person. And I'll be honest with you, myself, and even in my field, I did not always do these things, because I would be like, oh, it's about now, it's about living, I'm struggling now, and all these sorts of things. But the time is no better than today to start. And when you have that software, you get into the delegation, and you get into these types of systems, you'll see how easy it is to implement these things. Now, this one hurts my soul when I see investors and anybody in the real estate, they don't get rid of things that they're losing money on. They get attached to what went wrong and what could go right. And they getting a lot into the what if and shoulda, and they should all over themselves. But once they lost that value, it will reduce the tax liability if you can do that. And reducing that tax liability is a big thing, because as good as this save taxes, but you also can look at this, oh, it's good, you know, to save on taxes. You know, there's both sides of the coin. But getting rid of it and detaching it, it's going to be easy if you have the software. And reducing your liability from the right strategy by losing investment, where you see it over time and you're measuring it, it's a no-brainer. And in December, it just becomes something that you just do, and it doesn't become a decision. It becomes like an action. And all these things flow into each other. Now, this is the last tip, and it's a big thing. A lot of you, I mean, a lot of you may have heard of this already, and a lot of you may think you are doing it, and I would be interested to hear if you are. You know, but cost segregation is a big thing. And I'll tell you a quick example before I share the 2 tips of mine, which is, you know, I had this landscaper and it was like $45,000. And because we implemented this strategy of cost segregation, he went from 39 years down to 15, which is a really big savings for him. And the 2 star things that happen in cost segregation, you know, there's also many things, and you can keep yourself busy for days. But my 2 highlights that I want to share with you is it's a plan to increase your deductions over the life of the asset. But my favorite part is it helps accelerate the depreciation. I know I said the other one was a quick story, but I actually just want to share another one. I remember before I implemented cost segregation for myself, and I had this property, and it was just milking the balance sheet, and it just would bug me every year. And it took my life to really say, like, hey, I'm going to dig deeper into this, because there's got to be a better way. And once you see you can accelerate the depreciation, and you can be able to really move things forward and see your money work for you, it's just such a dream. And like we said before, that the business is not running you, the business is not running you, the business is working for you. It is just such a difference that you cannot even imagine. You know, even during COVID, that you can still continue the systems and just continue, rinse and repeat, that it just is a beautiful thing. So my gift for you guys is today is I'm just giving as a gift a 30-minute assessment that I will walk with you through your business and learn more about you and just know what's going on. I would love to hear what helped you today, what aligned with you today, what you guys would love, what you guys would like more. If you guys didn't like it at all, that's okay too. I would like to know everything. And in addition, I have an ebook that I created for everybody, where it's the 6 pillars of business, which is a little bit different than what I talked about today. It helps you guys create a business plan. It talks about a payroll strategy. It talks about the importance of bookkeeping, and there's a lot of great worksheets inside the ebook. And you'll get a lot of, good things in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed today, and I would love to see you on the call so that I can help you implement the tips, or even just share with you, what I think action tips that you can do as my gift and my appreciation for being part of today. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you. I don't know if you have a page with your contact information to share, where you have your email and phone number, but I think that would help for people to reach out to you.
Yeah, that's, oh gosh, I didn't put that here. That's crazy.
Well, that's easy to remember. That's perfect.
Yeah, I changed it recently to make um, and then maybe if you have the list, I can just send everybody the gift after, or I'll send it to you that I can share the gift and my contact so that if they are interested in, if I can help them, I would love that. So I can share this with them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Margot. Ready for the questions?
You bet.
Okay, first one. Any tips for balancing self-development and continuing education with revenue-generating activities?
Wait 1 second. You tipped out. Self-development.
Any tips for balancing self-development and continuing education with revenue-generating activities?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, so self-development, it is so key. And it's really the number one thing. And if your self-development is not where you want it to be, that is the priority even before the education. And I think of like a kid, when he wants a cookie and then he wants the chocolate. And then, you look in the park and the mom just wants the kid to be quiet, so she gives them all the snacks, right? But we only can do one thing at a time. Like I had this nutritionist and she told me, she says the rule is one. And if your being is not intact, you can't service anybody. And I say that because education revolves around a very high level of dedication because the business has to grow during the day. So I hope today you enjoyed the delegation, because without the delegation, are you going to be able to allot the time for education? Because you're going to need time for your self-care, which is the being. You're going to need time for the education and for the business as well. And I've been there, and I'll tell you my routine for my self-development. I have a business coach and a life coach, and it's one person. And for me, it was the best thing, that happened to me, because it accelerated my growth. It helped give me my gifts to give to a lot of people. And I do coaching as well, actually. And in my routine, I'll just tell you, I do yoga, meditation, and journaling every morning. I go to my backyard and I go on the hammock and I lay out, I do my journaling, and I figure out where I want to be for the day. And once I implemented the education as well, you have to know when your good times of day is. Now, income generating, if you're doing education at the same time, that's pretty hard, because you have to be, for income generating, you have to be on that mode, and education, there has to be, about like a roadmap to that. So I would say is have a lot of compassion on yourself and start with that type of self-care, and then move into income generating, and then maybe go back to the education. But that's a lot to take on at once.
Absolutely. You touched upon some really important point. I also a strong believer that personal development, self-care are essential parts of building the business. And obviously, Rome wasn't built overnight. It takes a while to put all of the components together to have that structure. And you can probably relate to that. It sounds like what you're doing in the morning is more or less a variation of a miracle morning routine, your own personal version of miracle morning routine.
Yeah, because it helps me. And I also know, like I think I was telling you this before, like I figured out at like 3 o'clock, my brain starts to tip a little bit. And, around 3, 4 o'clock, some people it's 2 o'clock, that sometimes you need to schedule breaks. And people also think that they're nonstop going. And, it's kind of like an energizer, but we're not built to do that. I mean, when you're in a situation when you can't make a decision, you walk away. And I'll tell you, it was one of the hardest things I've ever learned, but the best decisions. Like I know when I did it the first time, I realized that the business was working for me and all the systems were set up that way. And slowly when you figure that out, I mean, yoga for me is like, is just amazing, you know. And when you find what type of exercise that you can do and that deep connection to your body, and I'm very into visioning for your business, the education speaks for itself, the income generating, because income generating, it all, my coach tells me that, my coach told me this, and this was within our first few months together, and I'm going to save you thousands of dollars on coaching and therapy. You know, he would say it's all in your being. It's all about you connecting with your prospect, your investor, your business partner, your life partner, whoever it is. That's all it is. Once you guys connect, it doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's about the connection and it's your being. So if you're not in a great setting for that day, you just keep working on it and you'll find that good recipe.
Of course, absolutely. And the timing, you mentioned you're typically out by 2, 3 o'clock. Is that when the school is over for the kids and the kids come back from school typically?
They're actually closer to 5. I have one at 5, one at 6, and now next year I'll have both at 6 because I'll have 2 high schoolers. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I don't stop my day. I just make sure to take a solid break and I eat my lunch. I schedule time for lunch. A lot of people don't do that. They don't schedule time for lunch. They'll eat quick at the computer, and it's the most, like, I'll tell you, my hair colorist gave me the best example. He would say, Margo, he goes, how would you feel if I was coloring your hair? And he goes, if I was eating a salad at the same time. And I was just like, I'm going to use that for my next speaking engagement, because it's like, you know, it's what you need to make sure that you're in your best self and your highest self.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Can you go a little bit over the services that you and your team offers? And also, since we have here people from at least 2 states, New York and New Jersey, whether you cover these 2 states and more.
Absolutely. So the states are no problem. So since we're sharing screens, I'm going to show you the best way to find out what we do. It is,
maybe go over a little bit over.
Yeah, I'll explain it. Sure. So I put our packages and our services on. Ooh. Okay, that's weird. It's not coming up right now. Sorry about
Just
that.
spell it correctly, maybe spelling.
Okay, so if you go to packages, we have the monthly engagements, and what we do is the silver starters are the main. Lots of times is what people do. It's like it just takes you as a whole for the month, where it includes phone calls, spot calls, emergencies if anything happens. You got month-end reconciliations, deposits, categorization of expenses. You know, if you want us, you know, to do all of this for you. And then what I do is that I bonus. It's called like a mapping session. The mapping session is so fun. What we do is we go through the business of where it is now. So like, let's say the stuff that we talked about tonight, we go through that and I have my process. And then I bring you back these beautiful slides of where your business is and then where I can take you. And then systems and strategies so that we can move you forward. If somebody is looking for a more in-depth like bill pay and sorts of things like this, like budgeting, asset analysis, these are the next level type things. In this package, what we include, it's called a SWOT analysis. These are different areas of the business to know the weaknesses and strengths of the business so that I can see where to spend the time. And then I plan the work accordingly each month with you. And then you get all sorts of support. You get Voxer access to me here, and we talk. So if something happens outside of our systems, of our calls, you have a way to get in contact with me. My highest level package is the CFO package. Now on the CFO, it's the platinum, where this is like business development, where it's also, you get unlimited access during business hours, where it's strategic advice for growth, raising capital, distributions, financial, HR, sales expansion. And we go through all these sorts of things to know if that's really what your business needs. I'm just going to run through, and then if you guys have questions, I can, I can go into, a little bit in depth. But these are different ways that we help you set up those strategies if you were to need it. So let's say you had a bookkeeper who did this before, and you're not sure where it is. That's something that we would talk about over here, the cleanup. The tech package, this is something like similar to what we talked about tonight. It's really building your business automated. So for instance, a lot of people were having trouble getting their mail and all those sorts of things because they were in lockdown. And then for me, I'm like, hey, I don't get mail because it all comes into my email into an automated system, because it all moves into where, let's say, for instance, it goes into bill.com, which is an app that will sync with our software. And then implementation is sometimes you have people that are doing things, but they don't know how to do the work. And these packages, they could be moved in different things, but it's like it's a basis of how we work.
Nice. In one of the packages you mentioned Voxer Access. What is that?
Voxer. So Voxer is similar to WhatsApp. It's like so that's a good question. Maybe I should put WhatsApp instead of that.
Yeah, I've never heard of Voxer. Maybe others have.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So Voxer it could be WhatsApp. It doesn't really matter. It's like a walkie-talkie app. So with all of our calls, what I do is, I have calls. So if you need my help outside of the calls, what happens is that if you just want to ask a question, and it's easier to find to communicate than it is to sit there and type an email, you're able to send me a voice message.
And then the preparation that you do, it all leads towards being ready to file a tax return, right?
Right. So this is the best. So in terms of the tax return, either one of them will do, so that we're fully giving you the support and what you need, so that on a regular basis that you have everything and you can file the tax return. Now in-house as well, we can file the tax return for you, or we can work with your current CPA, or eventually if you wanted to, to move, and we talk about all those tax processes as well.
Excellent. Very nice. So if someone, let's say, wants to have, let's say, silver package, but is looking to have a one-off strategy session, what would they want to do? Like, what type of customization do you have?
Well, if they just want a strategy session with me, it's my gift today. So there would be no fee for that.
I see.
For being on the webinar today, I'm gifting everybody an opportunity, and I hope you guys take me up on that.
And Margo, in terms of the industry, do you want to talk about who are you serving for the most part?
So I work with a lot of investors. I work with a lot of developers. I mainly work in the professional service-based industry. I work, and I've been in the real estate overall for about over a decade right now.
Awesome. Very nice.
I fell in love with real estate when I was 15, about. I felt like, I remember actually this, I always keep saying this quick story, but when I was 5, I remember this first person that I saw, he would take down a building, and I would think he was so mean, and I was like, why are you taking down that building? And then I remember when it started to grow into this gorgeous building, and then all these people got housing, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then it just evolved over itself. So I just have a love for real estate.
Amazing. Do you also invest in real estate yourself?
So it's not as much as I would like to. My two children, putting them through private school right now, takes that budget right now. But my second now going to high school, right now it's a little bit on pause.
Yeah.
I actually just bought my own home for myself, so I guess that counts, but so it's not really for us. Thank you.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Is that in Long Island or?
Yeah.
Very nice. Got it. I don't see any more questions. Guys, any other questions for Margo? Margo, while you were building your practice, did you work on automating it when you had all the pieces together, or did you start automating it from the very beginning while establishing it as well?
So for the first, I would say 8 to 10 years, I was really just doing whatever came at me. I really just had like manual systems, and that was really it. And when it came to probably my 10th, 11th year business is really when I was like, I got to make this better. I mean, I'm a mom. I built this business while I was raising my kids. My son was 6 months when I started this, and now he's 17.
Wow.
Isn't that insane? He drives my car now. It's like, I don't know, like he tells me like, can you take me driving? And it's like, me? But it took me time to take the pieces where, to really project management softwares, to be able to do it. But no, at first you don't have all the pieces, and sometimes you have just one, and that's the beginning.
Makes sense. And someone's asking if you guys file taxes, and I believe you said you do.
Absolutely.
Right. So that answers that question.
Absolutely. The only thing I just say is with taxes is just that because we do a lot of bookkeeping and accounting, we just look to make sure that you have a good bookkeeping system so that your tax return is correct. Because what we do find is that someone who just looks to file the taxes at the end of the year, they're not necessarily getting the most value from their P&L to save on taxes. So I just want you to keep that in mind.
Sure, absolutely. And if we were to ask some of your clients about working with you, what do you think they would say? How would they describe the process working with you in a couple of words?
So if you look at my business, if you look at our website, I think that's actually the main page of here. It says here, proactive, creative, and unique.
Very nice. Yeah.
That's actually reflected. I actually call myself, I don't know if any of you follow me, or I would love for you to follow me. They call me the CFO Solutions Queen, because that's really what I am. I find solutions, and I'm really proactive, and I'm your trusted partner. I look to be your partner and not necessarily your accountant, because our strategies and our ways is going to help you accelerate the growth, save your money, and look out for that 10-year mark when you have a lot of kids, or if you don't have kids, if you want to build that business, if you want to buy the other building, that we can look at all sorts of ways to help you do that.
In terms of the businesses and industries, if someone has a business that's maybe not in real estate investing, but something complementary, do you take on those businesses as clients as well, or is it strictly real estate?
Of course. I mean, not everything we do is not all of it. Sometimes I have business developers. Sometimes I have people that are flat out just service-based businesses. There's all sorts of things. So if the person knows the type of business, I do have a variety of experience. I mainly do professional services, the service-based industry. I do have a lot of experience in the retail. It just happens to be I'm in the professional service space.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's plenty of work, plenty of clients in professional services to serve. So I think there's definitely a high demand for that. So excellent. I had another question, but it just slipped my mind. Guys, are there any other questions? So I don't see anything in the chat. If you want to just pop up and ask a question, feel free to do so.
This is a great group.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. We're all quiet tonight, but I guess, long day. We're tired.
Oh, he asked when can you get the session complimentary? I'll email you tonight my calendar link. What's it called? I think I closed the slides by mistake. Hold on, sorry about that. I think I stopped sharing the screen. 1 second. If you write down the email, feel free to email me and we will get that scheduled.
And then Margo, by the way, I like the colors. You use a lot of purple. Reminds me of the Rich Dad Poor Dad cover page. Cover of
yeah,
that.
somebody else told me that. I just loved it. I just find it's like the hint of the blue and the purple. Like it just felt so, I don't know. It just felt like full of life.
Yeah, well, a lot of people associate that purple color with that purple book and with building financial wealth and financial freedom. So I think you chose the perfect color for that for your business.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, because it's associated with that.
Well, I'm glad you said that because in the 6 pillars of the ebook, it talks about building a business plan, and you're going to see all of those types of things in there to help you.
Sure. So for someone who, let's say, start a business in the early stages, if they engage with you, what can they expect by the end of the year on a high level?
So I'm going to say the first thing to do then, I would love is a mapping session, is a strategy session with them. I love building businesses with people from the beginning. I get to hear what they want to do. We get to build the vision. By the end of the year, it's really seeing their vision alive, assuming they start in January to December. I mean, there's so much that we can do. After that strategy session, the next step would be a mapping session. And that mapping session is where we would really build it together. If
the roadmap, right?
Right. It's a blueprint of where you are now and where you want to be. So what we do is we take the end goal and I back end into it, let's say 12 months or 6 months, depending on the agreement or commitment that we decide is best for them or agree on, and we back into that. And each week when we talk, this is more, the business building side, we work together on that so that you can, see that vision forward. I don't have that laid out, but that is something separately that I'm, working on. So it's a great question. I'm glad you asked that.
Guys, we're coming to the top of the hour. Any final questions for Margo before we adjourn? Margo, I don't see any more questions. I want to thank you very much again. Awesome presentations and great answers to the questions. We really enjoyed it very much. Guys, the session will be recorded and I can share the recording for those that are interested. And again, Margo will send me her ebook and I will share with the group. So you will have that no matter what. Take advantage of the complimentary strategy session that Margo is offering. Margo, does your ebook have your contact information? Okay, good. So yeah, you'll have Margo's contact information to reach out and schedule that session and see how you can take your business to the next level. Again, Thank you very much, Margo. Thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you guys have a great evening.
You're welcome.
Take
Good night.
care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.